Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. And hi, hope you're all having a good Sunday. If you're watching this as it's live, it is Sunday. I'm just so glad that I recorded this video earlier because I've since, you know what it's like on a Sunday, been doing stuff this morning, been out, come back, had something to eat, fallen asleep. As you do, and I'm just sort of coming round now, but I did record this video earlier, so thank God for that. So because I don't feel very awake at the moment, but anyway, got my candle going. I lit this candle this morning. It's been out and lit again, and been out and lit again. And in today's video, I'm going to talk about probably one of the most famous missing persons cases in the UK, at least, which is the case of Claudia Lawrence. And I doubt very much if there's anyone out there, well, certainly not, as I say, in the UK. Maybe some of you from different countries haven't heard of this case. I don't know if it sort of is an internationally known case, but certainly in the UK, it's probably one of the most famous missing persons cases. So, of course, we've been having a bit of a missing sort of, been talking about missing people all weekend. This weekend, it's just the way it's happened. And I thought finish it off the weekend by talking about Claudia Lawrence, because the other reason is it's been 15 years. It's a 15-year anniversary, if you like, since Claudia Lawrence went missing. So there's a renewed effort. It is a cold case. Claudia Lawrence, it's a cold case, but the police have said that as soon, anytime they receive any further information, any new information, they will be, not even reopening it, because it's never really closed properly. But, they're ready to solve the case. They want to solve the case. They're always looking for new information. Now, as you'll see that I say in this video, personally, I think that they do know who did it, or think they know who did it, and it's just that they haven't got enough evidence to take it to court. That's my opinion. Okay, I'm going to say hello to everybody, and then I'm going to start the video. Let me just get the video ready. Yep, there it is. It's all ready. So it's one that I prepared earlier, like Blue Peter. And that means I can chat with you guys, and also I can stop and start it and add things. Because I feel like I've been with Claudia all day. I've been watching lots of videos about Claudia. There's so much, in a missing case of this length of time, you can imagine there's so many documentaries, there's so much information. I could literally do a whole day long video about this case, which obviously I'm not going to do. I'm trying to just, in this video that I'm going to show you, just try to give you the relevant points, where we are now with it. There have been lots of bits of information over the years that have come to nothing. I'm really trying to concentrate on the things that contribute to where we are now, the things that are still relevant, not the things that were relevant but are no longer relevant. So first of all, I just say hello to everybody. Oh, and say thank you, of course. Thank you to everyone. Please don't forget to leave your fingerprint on the like button. And please don't forget to subscribe if you feel like it. That really helps me out. So if you're not subscribed, please think about subscribing. It's completely free. And I also want to say a special thank you to my members and to anyone who has contributed that little bit more, bought me a coffee, sent me a super, etc. All of you, but everybody who watches my videos, just watching them is a big help, and liking and subscribing also. Okay, so thank you. Right, so I'm going to say hello to everyone. So first of all, we've got Chumba. Hi, Chumba, you were first. Yeah, I think we all wonder what happened to her. She was 35 years old. She was a chef. She was in the prime of her life. And she was taken, we think, from this world. I don't think she's alive. The police certainly don't think she's alive. I don't think she's alive, because I don't think she would have put her parents through the hell that they have gone through. Hi, Maria. Hi, Tracy. Hi, David. Hi, Julie. David, good to see you've at least got your notifications sorted out. David's got a new phone. I haven't even started tackling my new phone yet. It's just, it's all going to go wrong. All right, it will for me. Hi, Karen. Hi, Jojo. It's good to see you back on a regular basis. Hi, old hippie. I'm missing 411. Well, maybe I will. Maybe I won't. Hi, Rio. Hi, Charlie. Hi, Matthew. Oh my goodness, Charlie, I can't believe you're unaware of this case. But of course, you're a bit younger, I think. But it is 15 years old, this case. But every now and again, it comes back into the public eye, because of an anniversary or a new bit of information or whatever. But it's a very, very well-known case. So, yeah, exactly. Knowing something and proving it are two different things as far as the police are concerned, David. Hi, Paul. Yeah, Chumba thinks she was taken. I think the real problem about... oh, good, Jojo. I think the real problem with Claudia is we don't even know if she was taken the night before, if she was taken the morning when, it's thought that she went off to work and that's when she disappeared. I just can't make my mind up, to be honest. And the more, I don't think, doing this video today and going through the amount of different information that I've looked through, trawled through, still not quite sure if she, disappeared the night before or in the morning when she was on her way to work. Just don't know. But anyway, they think, it's thought that there are more than one person involved as well. One murderer and other people helping. There's been 12 different people arrested over these 15 years, somehow in connection with her case. So either for perverting the course of justice or for actual murder. So in these 15 years, there's been 12 different people arrested and released without charge. So, that's a lot of people, isn't it, for one case? And it just makes you wonder, what do the police know? I've got lots of theories about this case. A lot of the theories that I've got, I wouldn't even want to say publicly. But anyway, we're going to watch the video. Let's have a look at the video. So I'm going to start the video. It'll start off by me introducing myself again. So, because I probably will release this video later, just in itself, not as a live, but as a video. But poor Claudia, and the thing as well to remember about Claudia is her father. Look, I've got the same outfit on as well. I think I don't want you to and confused. I've got exactly the same dress on that I had this morning. Of course, her father has died. Her father sadly died in 2021. Her father, Peter. Without finding out what happened to Claudia. But her mum is still alive, and her sister and her friends, of course. So there are still people out there rooting for Claudia, and I think a lot of the public, this has been one of those enduring cases, as I say, like Madeleine McCann. Do you imagine if one day there is a police conference saying they found out what happened to Madeleine McCann or what happened to Claudia Lawrence? These are real mysteries in the British psyche, famous cases that have never been solved. Chumba, double trouble, two Vickies, double trouble and dressed exactly the same as well. Okay, so I'm going to play it. I'm going to play the video now, and I'll be able to chat with you guys on the chat as well. I hope you all had a good day or evening or afternoon. Yeah, of course, Susie Lamplugh, she's another one. Though I think it is thought, isn't it, that what's his name, that horrible guy, did kill Susie Lamplugh, and I can't remember his name, which is just as well. It's better that I can remember her name, and I can't remember his. But yeah, it's not been proven 100%, wherever you're watching from. But anyway, in this video, well, this weekend we've done a lot of videos, haven't we, about missing people. And I thought what I would do today, I'm going to talk about what's probably the most famous, apart from Madeleine McCann, I suppose, maybe Susie Lamplugh, but that was, of course, a long, long time ago as well. The most famous missing persons case in the UK, anyway, of Claudia Lawrence. Now, as I start, I'm going to light the candle because I turned it out before, or blew it out before, because I had to go out to the shop. It's like the candle. Claudia is missing, and has been missing for 15 years, 15 long years, in which time her father unfortunately has died. So without, well, presumably he'll know what's happened to her now. I hope so. He'll be whizzing around the universe. Rest in peace, bless him. And we'll know exactly what did happen to Claudia. But Claudia went missing 15 years ago. She still has her mother and her sister alive, so there's still family looking for her. She was 35 when she went missing, so she was in the prime of her life. I always think that is the prime of your life, in your mid-30s. Now, no trace has ever been found of her, but the police have said that they think it is a murder case. But over the years, a few people have been arrested and released without charge. Now, personally, I myself feel that this case is a case of that the police know exactly who's done it, or they think they know exactly who's done it, but they just do not have the evidence. I would imagine 100% that one of those people, if not, if it was maybe a conspiracy, we don't know, but at least one of those people who've been arrested in these years that have gone past probably is the guilty party. But the thing is, evidence, that old evidence is needed. The police will not want to take it to court until they're 100% certain that they have the evidence for a conviction. And of course, they don't have Claudia's body, which does not mean that you cannot charge someone with murder just because you haven't got the body yet. It doesn't mean that, but I think the police just feel that they don't have the right evidence. Anyway, let's have a look at Claudia, bless her. Oh, I've got to set up the photos. Hang on one sec. Now, Claudia, she was a chef. She was a chef at a college. Initially, they said that they thought that she had left that morning to go to work. The morning that she went missing, it was work, I think, that reported her missing. And it was said at the time that they thought she had left her house and gone to work. But it seems more and more likely, and personally I believe, she did never set off to work that morning. And there are some, because there were some sort of sightings, but you know what sightings are like? Sightings of a reputedly arguing with a man on the side of the road, etc. But it seems to me that maybe these things, they weren't, they weren't Claudia. I'm sorry for calling her Claudia, but in Spanish it's Claudia. Anyway, this was her house. This is where she lived. It looks like a lovely little house, doesn't it? A lovely little terrace house. That's so whether she went missing from that house, there were no signs of a struggle. There was no sign of any foul play in the house. So it seems unlikely that anything did happen there. Did she go out that night and meet somebody but just not tell anybody? Anyway, here is Claudia. This is how she looked. She had dark hair. There was some confusion in the beginning. Claudia's mother said, Claudia, because some of the pictures that were released initially of Claudia showed her with blonde hair. But her mum then said, actually, Claudia, she had dyed her hair and her hair was darker, like this. This is how she looked at the time that she disappeared. So you can see she's a very attractive woman. This is her with her dad. See, she's a bit blonder here. She looks so much like her dad, I think. Anyway, unfortunately, he has passed away. Here's that other picture, but a bit bigger. Like, it looks like she's got a drink in her hand. It looks like it's, I don't know if it's a graduation or a wedding or some kind of ceremony. Again with her dad. So this is Claudia with her mum. And the situation was also complicated a little by the fact that Claudia's mum and dad, they were separated, but not only that, I think it was quite acrimonious. So there wasn't much, joint sort of support for the police from the mother and father. I'm not saying they didn't support the police, of course they did, but everything was separate. So there you go. This is Claudia. Let's go back to the picture of her. Let's leave this up for a little while. So what happened to her? Where is she? Claudia, if only she could speak, if only she could tell us, where is she? And I know there's some of you out there that are psychics or follow psychics. I don't know if anyone's, I am a fact-based channel. So I don't go into details what psychics have said, not because I don't believe in psychics. I have a lot of respect for psychics, but just because, the police, obviously they cannot build a case around what psychics say. But I would be interested if any of you know of what any psychics have said over the years. I expect there's been a lot of commentary over the years, 15 years, what they're saying about where Claudia is, what happened to her, etc. So let me just read to you, while we're having a look at, I just want to read to you the basic overview of what happened before we start looking into more details. So Claudia was born on the 27th of February 1974. She was English. She was last seen and heard from on the 18th of March. So this is why it's all in the public eye again, because the police are renewing their investigative efforts on this 15-year anniversary, if you like, or 15-year anniversary always seems like an awful word, because you always think of an anniversary as a celebratory event, but of course it's not a celebratory event. But this basically is what's prompted this reinvestigation. And Claudia was 35 when she disappeared, and she would have just passed her 50th birthday should she be still alive, which she may be, but the police don't think she is for whatever reason. She would have just celebrated her 50th birthday, and we presume that by now maybe she'd be married, she'd have children. We'll never know, will we? And she went missing from Malton in the North Riding of Yorkshire. and she was employed as a chef at the University of York, Goodricke College at the time of her disappearance. So various people have been arrested, but they've all been released. So anyway, she spent her early life with her father. Now, Peter, her father, died in 2021, so just a couple of years ago. So God rest his soul. I hope he's reunited with Claudia, and he, I hope that with all my heart that is what happens in the next world. So he was a solicitor. She came from a very good family. He was a prosperous solicitor. Her mother was a member of the Malton Town Council, and she even served a term as a mayor. So she had a comfortable childhood. She was privately educated at the York College for Girls. She attended a local catering college, and she qualified as a chef. So she worked at several hotels and restaurants, but she didn't like, we all know that being a chef, working in restaurants, it's antisocial hours. So she didn't like it. So in 2006, she found employment at the University of York's Goodricke College, working as a chef in the canteen. And then in 2007, she bought that little house that we saw, which was a terrace cottage in the York suburb of Heworth, situated about 3 miles or 5 kilometres from her place of work. She was highly regarded at work. She was considered reliable, punctual, so everything seemed fine. She was single, and she remained single. She never had, as far as I know, as far as I'm aware, what you would call a long-term relationship with one person in particular. Now, apparently she had a good social life, and this caused problems, as it does for women, not for men, does it? If a man is having various relationships and remaining single, that's great. It's like, oh yeah, good for him, But when women do it, sometimes it's a little bit frowned upon. And when this sort of came out after Claudia went missing, there was a bit of, what can I say? Because she had a complicated social life, let's say, it's said that she had various relationships. Some of them may well have been with married men as well, though everything was always, nobody knew about them. They're all discreet. Nobody seems to have the details of them unless the police, we don't know exactly what the police know or don't know. Her parents said they didn't really have any details of her relationships, but she was a single woman. She was enjoying her life. And, as I say, if it was a single man, I think there'd be a different attitude towards this. But this did, there was a bit of a sort of sniffiness about the way she had lived her life, because she had let's say, a complicated social life. Sorry, I've lost where I was now. So, and this, apparently she had a number of covert sexual relationships with men. This was what was said, some of whom were married or in relationships. So, this did affect the public perception of her a bit. Anyway, when she moved to Heworth in 2007, she would regularly spend her evenings at the Nag's Head pub, which was close to her home. And her father also used to go in there. But she began relationships with several men that she met while drinking in the pub. And her father admitted that their liaisons had created awkward situations sometimes with her lovers' partners. Another thing they said about Claudia was she had holidayed several times in Cyprus and had explored job opportunities there. So there was a lot of conjecture that she may have gone to Cyprus when she first disappeared, but personally, she didn't take a passport, so I doubt it very much. Anyway, the day she disappeared, at 6 a.m. on the morning of 18th of March 2009, she started her shift at the college. She completed her shift at 2 p.m. and she was recorded on CCTV leaving the college on foot a few minutes later. Around 3 p.m. that same afternoon, she was recorded on CCTV passing a shop in Melrose Gate near her home and was seen by a neighbour. And during the course of that evening, she spoke to both her mother and her father on her phone. And her mood was described as normal and relaxed. With her mother, they discussed Mother's Day that was coming up. Claudia told her mum she was at home. She planned to go to bed early because she would have to get up before 5 o'clock the next morning to walk to work as her car was being under repair. Now, I feel here, if she hadn't actually been attacked or whatever happened to her the night before, was somebody giving her a lift to work? Anyway, she sent her final text message from her mobile phone at 8:23 p.m. and a final incoming text was received at 9:12 p.m. After that, nothing was heard of her. Now, I know she'd said she was going to go to bed early, but 8:20 just seemed a little bit too early, doesn't it? So I mean, I've been to bed at 9 o'clock before. I've been to bed earlier. I suppose if you're really tired, sometimes you will go to bed so early. Anyway, she was supposed to start work the next morning at 6. She did not report for duty. Her manager called her mobile phone number. The phone rang but went to messaging. The manager did not do anything else at that time. But Claudia arranged to meet her friend Susie Cooper later at the Nag's Head that night. And when Claudia didn't come to that, arrangement, come to that meeting, not meeting, as it were, it was a friends meeting. She then tried to contact her by phone and she couldn't get through to her. She was unable to get a response. So she tried again the following morning on Friday, the 20th of March, still no success. And that's when she became alarmed and started ringing round mutual acquaintances, trying to find out if anybody had heard anything from Claudia. Finally, it was this friend, Susie Cooper, who phoned Claudia's father on the 20th of March to tell him what had happened. Sometimes people have said, and I agree, she had Claudia's father's phone number, which you might think is quite unusual, isn't it? Do you have the phone numbers of the fathers of your friend? Excuse me. Sorry, that was a sneeze. Could be a little bit strange, but don't forget that Claudia's father went into this pub as well. So it's possible that Susie was a friend of his as well as of Claudia's. Anyway, he then phoned Claudia's work, and he was told then that she had not appeared for work, either on the 19th or the 20th of March. So it was Peter then who went into Claudia's house using his own key with George Foreman, who is the landlord of the Nag's Head. So he must be a friend of Peter's, because you're not going to go in there with someone that you don't know. So I think this pub seems to have been like a hub, a meeting place. Anyway, they found the house to be in an orderly state. The bed was made, unwashed dishes in the kitchen sink, which did suggest that she had eaten breakfast. Well, I presume there were breakfast plates then, because it could have been her dinner from the night before. Anyway, her handbag containing her purse, bank card and passport was in the house. So she hadn't left the house that morning, had she? The only significant items missing were a mobile phone, a set of hair straighteners, and a rucksack, which she normally used to carry her Chef Whites to and from work. So it seemed that she had left the house normally to go to work at around 5 a.m. but had never arrived. What, without her purse? Without her handbag? Suppose maybe she wouldn't need a handbag to go to work. Seems odd to me, but anyway. So finally, the police were contacted on the 20th of March to report her as a missing person. And police officers met with her dad, Peter, at her home later that day. Now, initially, York police, they were slow to act because she was not a vulnerable person and there was no obvious evidence of violence. You know what it's like with missing persons, no suspicious circumstances. Anyway, they considered it likely she'd decided to absent herself and she would reappear after a few days. It must be so frustrating that, because when you know that your family member is just not that sort of person, just would not do that. And you're trying to say this to the police, but of course a lot of people do that. So the police is saying, look, she may have just taken herself off for a couple of days. And you're saying, no, she wouldn't ever do that, and they won't believe you. It must be very frustrating. Anyway, they did check out her route to work and they sent out a public request for information. And then, of course, her family became increasingly worried. And then it was 5 weeks before York Police upgraded the inquiry from a missing person inquiry to one of suspected murder. So, of course, a lot of things can happen in 5 weeks. So there were various possibilities. You know, she may have left with a man, or she may have left to take up a new job. I mean, I can't even take that on board. Obviously, she didn't do any of those things without telling anybody that she was doing it. Now, there was a possibility that she'd suffered an accident or a medical emergency on her way into work. But anyway, it was all checked and no trace of her was found. So that was dismissed. The next hypothesis, if you like, was this about she may have had an encounter with a serial killer, because there was Christopher Halliwell, who is a known serial killer. He is in prison now. One day I'll do a video about him. He was a taxi driver. Yeah, I just wanted to say, I don't know if any of you know about Christopher Halliwell, but he was a taxi driver who was caught for murdering, 2 women. And there is another woman that he murdered, but he hasn't been prosecuted for it. It's a bit of a long story as to why he's not been prosecuted for murdering her. It was a mistake that the policeman who was dealing with the case made. Anyway, it's a long story, and that's a video in itself. But yeah, for a while he was considered as a possible suspect, because apparently serial killers tend to offend on certain dates, on significant dates. And that particular day was a significant date for Christopher Halliwell. But having said that, he was miles away. He did have connections, I think, in that part of the world, but he wasn't from, his other murders weren't in that part of the world. So it was just one of those theories that was bandied about, but I think he denies all knowledge of it, which of course you may think, oh, well, he will. But not necessarily. Sometimes serial killers, once they are actually caught, they will admit to other murders that they've done. But yeah, one day I will do a feature on Christopher Halliwell and the 2 women, the 3 women that we know that he murdered, and he probably murdered other women. He's like a really horrible individual, but the only thing you could say in defense of Christopher Halliwell is he knew that there was something wrong with him, and he, wanted help, but he just couldn't help himself, so he said. But yeah, we'll look at that another time. But I personally do not. Let's show you Christopher Halliwell, because Yeah, it was quite a famous case at the time because of the mistake the policeman made. Let me just show you his face so you can get an idea of him. Maybe you'll remember him. He's got a very, very scary looking, I think. Look at his eyes. You know, we always say it's in the eyes. Definitely in his eyes. You won't want those eyes looking at the last thing you ever saw. But yeah, he has been put in the frame for it, let's say, but he denies anything to do with it. But he was convicted of killing these two girls, and there was another girl, a definite, and there's lots of others that you know, it's thought likely that he killed. Horrible man. A horrible man, but it was a very interesting case because this guy, the detective that was in charge of the case, he made a bit of a cock up, and it meant that the third girl could not be prosecuted because of something that was done wrong with it. There's been a program about it on TV. You know, they made it into a drama. Oh, is that his daughter there? Oh, yeah. So I will definitely make a video about Christopher Halliwell and, of course, his victims. But anyway, we're here to talk about Claudia tonight. So let's go back and talk about Claudia. He was a taxi driver. Anyway, we'll do a video about him one day. There were talks about that, but I don't believe that it was anything to do with Christopher Halliwell. And then the final hypothesis, which seems to me is you know, the likeliest, is that she was a victim of someone known to her. I believe 100% she was a victim of somebody known to her. And her personal life, in my opinion, does hold the key to her disappearance. Now, a key piece of evidence was that her mobile phone remained on until 12:10 p.m. on the 19th of March. And then it was deliberately switched off. It had been connected to a mast in the Heworth area of York during the morning of the 19th of March, and to the point it was switched off, and which indicates that the phone did not leave the local area. And the only CCTV camera on her most direct route to work was at the post office, and the recording from that morning did not show her passing. Although it's possible she could have avoided that CCTV, but just important to remember she was not caught on that CCTV. So a reward was offered. There was reconstruction on Crime Watch. And it just became more and more in the public eye, this case. There was a YouTube appeal for information. Claudia's father, especially, and her mother and her sister, they made as much, they looked for as much publicity as possible. They extended the search for her to Cyprus because of her connections to Cyprus, because she knew several people who lived on that island. They did a search of the University of York campus. And then they also said they were looking for the driver of a rusty white van who was seen trying to talk to women on her route to work. They've searched a lot of places: children's play area, muddy farm track, a field near the university. It's funny that they're concentrating on the university, I think, though they did have some hoax. I think 100% the police think maybe somebody who works at the university themselves. They concentrated so much around that area. They definitely got some ideas about who this person is. Now, all that stuff, there was, talk about being smuggled to Cyprus. I mean, come on. You know, what, she had a passport. Why would she have to be smuggled to Cyprus? Why would she, you know, why didn't she just go to Cyprus? You know, it's just, personally, I think that's an absolute load of rubbish. Her passport was in the house anyway. The other thing is, you know, people said, oh, she might have been smuggled there. Why would she have been smuggled there? Why? There was also talk about it being a traffic, you know, have you noticed that lately, whenever there's a missing person, there's always some talk about sex trafficking ring. Don't get me wrong, I know it happens, but Claudia was 35 years old, and, you know, no offence, and she is a very attractive woman, but that they're not, you know, 35-year-olds are not normally trafficked. You know, it's just the way it is. It's just fact of life. Because she's not going to be quiet and just go along with it, is she? You know, at 35 years old, they take sort of younger women who are much more vulnerable, if they take them at all, you know. So I just don't believe it. And, you know, to me, I just think, what's the easiest way? I just think if you murdered somebody, I'm not trying to give anyone ideas, but if you did and someone went missing and you really wanted to muddy the waters, you know, you've only got to phone up and make a few false claims like, oh, you know, I heard you went to Cyprus, or, you know, because you can appear anonymous, can't you, when you're giving tips? That's what you do. You know, you try and mislead the police, you try and use up their resources, you try and lead them off on a wild goose chase. I mean, I've got to say, the police, whatever, you know, people can criticize the police as much as they want, but they've invested a lot of resources in trying to find Claudia Lawrence. You know, they have never, you know, they've spent fortunes of resources on trying to find Claudia Lawrence. So you couldn't, I mean, they've been to Cyprus. You know, they've investigated every avenue, so you can't say that they haven't. You know, they have. So I don't think you could have any complaints that they haven't tried. They've tried, but unfortunately, well, as I said, personally, I think they do know exactly who did it. It's just a question of that last bit of evidence. Maybe the body would be the final thing, but you know, information as well, apparently. I mean, the easy, you know, at the end of the day, if you are a murderer and you're trying to cover up your crime, probably one of the easiest things to do is to give hoax information, isn't it? Distract the police. I think that's happened for years in the Madeleine McCann case. You know, release it, all these little sightings here and there, and the this, that, and the other. And in the end, people don't know if they're coming or going. Anyway, but the general finding that emerged from this inquiry was that she had probably been abducted and murdered shortly after leaving home, they're saying. No, nowadays they're saying maybe even before she left home, or maybe not even at home, maybe she was at somebody else's home. It was considered that her killer was a local man known to her. Okay, in 2013, there was a major crime unit review. New forensic searches were made, etc. And a number of arrests were made. A 59-year-old man was arrested. So he's not named here. People may know who he is, but he's not named. He lived close to her home. There'd been a colleague of hers at the university. They were supposed to have been on friendly terms, and he had often given her lifts in his car to and from work. However, searches were made of his house and he was released. Oh, and his mother's house was searched also, but he was released. Then they arrested the landlord of another pub, the Acombe pub, in suspicion of perverting the course of justice, but he was released without charge, and he made a complaint that the police had evacuated a section of the cellar floor of his pub. So he said that she had been a customer in the pub and he had spoken to her, but that was his only connection to her. Other arrests were also made, but all concerned were released and none were charged. And then on the 8th of March 2006, York Police did put a case to the Crown Prosecution Service against 4 men arrested on suspicion of murder. 4 men. And the Crown Prosecution Service cited lack of evidence. These 4 men were all regular customers of the Nag's Head, and they denied, of course, any involvement. And the York police complained about a lack of cooperation from witnesses. So in the end, nothing came of it. Further investigations have happened. There's been ground penetrating radar equipment, cadaver dogs used, but nothing again found in August and September 2021 when the police searched Sandhutton gravel pits, a wooded area. And this apparently was prompted by new evidence, but police would not state what the evidence was. But nothing was found. Okay, so that's where we were. So now we're on the 15th anniversary of Claudia's disappearance and presumed death. And what we're going to look at now is the police. There's a new kid in town, a new kid on the block. Wayne Fox, a new senior investigating officer from North Yorkshire Police, and we're going to listen to what he's got to say, because here now on the 15th anniversary, if you like, he is reopening this investigation, or well, not reopening it, it's never been closed, but looking again at everything. So let's see what he's got to say. So Monday the 18th of March, where are we? So today's the 7th. Oh, sorry, today's the 7th of April. So this was back on the 18th of March. Was the 15th anniversary of Claudia Lawrence's disappearance and suspected murder in York. So Wayne Fox, a senior investigating officer, marks the poignant occasion with a personal insight, reflection and support for Claudia's family as the cold case inquiry continues. She reminds me, whenever I see pictures of Claudia, it's like the Mona Lisa, isn't it? You know, you think there's a lot of secrets there. You know, she probably in her life, maybe she did have a lot of secrets. So this is what the new senior investigating officer has got to say. Speaking purely as a parent, my thoughts as we enter the 15th year since Claudia Lawrence was reported missing remain with her mum Joan. So bear in mind that her father Peter has now died. I cannot begin to understand the pain that Joan and her family feel every single day. For such pain and despair to continue for 15 years without knowing where your child is or what happened to them, well, that is far beyond what any mum or dad should ever have to live with. Jean has lived with unending uncertainty and trauma since the last conversation she had with Claudia on the telephone on the evening of the 18th of March 2009. I also think about Claudia's dad, Peter, who tragically passed away 3 years ago without ever knowing what happened to his daughter. And this year, the anniversary of Claudia's disappearance is even more poignant, as she would have celebrated her 50th birthday on the 27th of February. That she has been denied the opportunity of fulfilling her potential and living life in a way that made her happy, be that in career aspiration, traveling the world, or the possibility of raising children, is tragic in the extreme. Let us not forget that Claudia's family and closest friends have also been denied the opportunity of living and sharing these types of momentous moments with her. That is equally sad and can surely only magnify the pain that they continue to feel 15 years on. Time to break the silence. Having been appointed Senior Investigating Officer in October 2020, I'm fully aware of the complexities that exist in this inquiry, which sadly has to be treated as that of a suspected murder. Sorry, I'm talking now. This is not what he said, but I think they know, or they think they know, who has killed Claudia. They just need that bit more evidence, don't they? However, the single barrier to unblocking the answers for Claudia's loved ones and bringing those responsible for her disappearance to justice remains the same: silence. Silence from the people who know, who or may suspect what happened to Claudia, but have so far, for reasons that are only known to them, been unable to come forward to the police or even pass on information to Crime Stoppers anonymously. There may be reasons as to why they've been unable to come forward. However, my plea to them on reaching 15 years of living with the knowledge you have is to do the right thing. Save your souls. You cannot change what happened to Claudia, but you can get some redemption in this life and the next. So, although the inquiry has been in a reactive phase since 2017, I want to make it clear the investigation is not closed. Even after such a passage of time, our cold case review unit continue to receive information. I'm just going down because I'm going to show the actual video of him speaking. So anyone with information that could assist the investigation should make a report via the North Yorkshire Police website or by calling 101, select option 4 and pass details to the force control room. Okay, let's see his video.
I'm Wayne Fox, and I'm a senior investigating officer in the Claudia Lawrence investigation. Speaking purely as a parent, my thoughts as we mark the 15th year since Claudia Lawrence was reported missing remain very much with her mum, Joan. I genuinely can't begin to understand the pain that Joan and her family must feel every single day.
He's a Geordie, isn't he?
For such pain and despair to continue for 15 years without knowing where your child is or what happened to them, well, that's far beyond what any mum or dad or family member should ever have to live with. Joan's lived with unending uncertainty and trauma since the last conversation he had with Claudia on the telephone on the evening of the 18th of March 2009. But I also think about Claudia's dad, Peter, who tragically passed away 3 years ago without ever knowing what happened to his daughter. This year, the anniversary of Claudia's disappearance is even more poignant, as she would have celebrated her 50th birthday on the 27th of February. The fact that she's been denied the opportunity of fulfilling her potential and living life in a way that made her happy, be that in career aspiration, travelling the world, or the possibility of raising children, is tragic in the extreme. Let's not forget that Claudia's family and her closest friends have also been denied the opportunity of living and sharing those types of momentous occasions or moments with her. And that's equally sad, and it can surely only magnify the pain that they continue to feel 15 years on. Having been appointed the Senior Investigating Officer in October 2020, I'm fully aware of the complexities that exist in this inquiry, which sadly...
it makes you wonder, doesn't it? What are these complexities? There's obviously a lot of complexity here.
We have to treat as one of suspected murder. However, the single barrier to unlocking the answers for Claudia's loved ones and bringing those responsible for her disappearance to justice remains the same in my view, and that's silence. Silence from the people who know or may suspect what happened to Claudia, but have, so far, for reasons that are only known to them, been unable to come forward to the police or even pass on information to Crime Stoppers anonymously. Now, there may be many reasons as to why they feel they've been unable to come forward up to this point. However, my plea to them on reaching 15 years of living with the knowledge that you have is to do the right thing and make that report. You can help bring an end to the pain and uncertainty for Claudia's loved ones.
Yeah. So, okay.
The inquiry has been in a reactive phase since 2017.
Not finished.
I again want to make it clear that the investigation is not closed. Even after such a passage of time, our cold case review unit continued to receive information. Now, every new piece of information is carefully assessed against the significant volumes of material that have been gathered over the full course of the investigation. And if a specific line of inquiry is developed from receipt of that new information, and it may grow in significance, then we will take decisive action, as we did when extensively searching the gravel pits at Sand Button in August 2021.
I think, they're dying to find out. you know, they would love to find out what's happened to Claudia. You know, that would be a big thing, wouldn't it? So
I hope that the scale of that activity, which took place within the operation, clearly demonstrates that if information is capable of being effectively developed, then North Yorkshire Police will work tirelessly in our continued search for the truth. If you know something that could help us find Claudia, or those involved in a disappearance and suspected murder, I urge you to come forward now.
now, it's quite possible that whoever did, I'm going to stop sharing that now. Whoever did what they did to Claudia, or somebody who might know what happened to Claudia, could be watching this video, because I would imagine if you'd been involved in a murder, or you knew something about a murder, even if you were terrified of talking, you'd always be looking out for news about it. So I would just reiterate what he says. If somebody is out there watching by some random chance, you know, do the right thing, get your redemption. Do you know, this finding Claudia shouldn't just be left wherever she's left. Her mum should be put out of her misery. You know, I know it won't bring Claudia back, but again, just giving them that comfort, giving Claudia's mum and her family the comfort of being able to lay her to rest. How would you feel? How would you feel if it was your family member just out there, it lost, you know, and you didn't know where they were, and you couldn't go and visit their grave, you couldn't give them a proper burial? How would you feel? So imagine that. Imagine that this is your loved one. Maybe you're not the one that did anything to Claudia, but you know something about it. Maybe you are scared. Yeah, I think it's important, you know, that people think, if there's people out there who've got some knowledge about this case, you know, they're not necessarily the murderer, but they may know something. Got to just put yourself in Claudia's family's position. How would you feel if it was your family member? You know, you've got, I just think, do you know what, how you're even sleeping at night, I don't know. Anyway, there you go. People do sleep at night with these horrible things on their conscience, but I don't understand how you can sleep at night, to be honest. There's a way you can do it. There'll be a way you can do it. But for your own soul, save your own soul, and also, you know, if you don't think about just like how you could help be a decent human being and help other people, think about yourself and what you could do to save your soul. Because you know what? If you're not going to pay in this life, you'll pay in the next one. And really, you need to be thinking about making your trip to the next life. Go, aren't you scared? Aren't you scared? Because as time goes on and you get older, one day something's going to happen to you. Are you ready? Is your soul ready for its transition into the next life? Or are you scared because you should be? Okay, what I'm going to show now is the CCTV footage. So a lot was made at the only CCTV footage of anything suspicious near Claudia's home. I'm sure you've all seen this at some point. This man, was seen walking around the back of her house. Now the problem is, I mean, this person may be nothing to do with Claudia disappearing, but they haven't come forward to say who they are. They seem to be carrying a bag here. They're seen a couple of times coming round this corner. Not sure what happened there. No, don't want that. It looked like it was someone's wedding or something. Let's have another look at this. God, the trouble is you put one thing on, lots of other things pop up. So this was the man. He was seen lurking in Lime Court, which is off Heworth Road in York, near the home where Claudia Lawrence lived, the morning after she was last seen. So the following morning, the morning where it looks like she did disappear, this person was seen and has not been identified. You know, the police have asked for them to come forward and you know, rule themselves out of enquiries, and they haven't. I'm sure they, you know, it's been such a. Oh, there was another guy walking across the road here who, again, the police wanted to identify just because they think he may have seen this man. These people have not ever come forward, neither of them. So this is the second man who they saw walking past a cost cutter shop in Heworth Road. And neither of those two men has ever come forward. I have got the CCTV somewhere. Hang on. So, just to let you know, it's believed in total 12 arrests have been made in this case, but no names have been confirmed officially. 12 arrests. And no, you know, no case brought against any of them. It's quite scary, really, isn't it? Ah, here it is. So, sorry, I've got the CCTV here. So, it's a man in black. There's always a man in black, isn't there, in every case? Now, I don't know about you, but when I watched this man walking, I thought he looked older rather than younger. Just an impression, but I could be wrong. Just the way he's walking. I don't think that's a young man, like in 20s. I think that's a man that might be in his 40s or more. Here's the other guy over there. He's not been identified either. And then this guy just looks old. He's got quite distinctive long legs. He looks tall and his legs are quite long and they've got a shape to them that I think is distinctive. But of course, you know, you can't see them on that. Very long legs, tall guy, in my opinion. And there was as well, he, let's see when it stops. So he comes back here, and there was another time when he came back and he saw the guy walking, didn't he? And he stops before he continues, as if he didn't want to be seen. That was maybe another bit. It's not, doesn't seem to be on this. But anyway, so who was that man, or who were either of those men? Neither of those two men have ever been identified. Now, the thing I wanted to just look at now, which was quite interesting, that I found as I was, you know, like you do when you're looking around for things. This is interesting. This is our friend Mark Williams-Twonk. Actually went into Claudia Lawrence's house. You know, he gets involved in every crime that's going, doesn't he? Or he certainly used to. I don't think he does so much now. Inside the home of Claudia Lawrence, almost untouched since she disappeared. So cameras have been allowed into the home of Claudia Lawrence for the first time. Claudia's mum, Joan, allowed former police officer turned journalist Mark Williams-Thomas to take the television cameras into the Heworth Roadhouse for his Unsolved series on the ITV daytime show this morning. The inside of the terraced house has been largely left untouched since Claudia disappeared in March 2009. Now, the video is unavailable for some reason, but Mark explained that Joan Lawrence had given him access to keep the story alive. And this follows last month's decision by North Yorkshire Police to scale down their investigation unless new information comes to light. So this apparently is the inside of the house. I would imagine was, it looks like it's been moved around, but I don't know. Anyway, the film shows Claudia's coat still hanging on a peg on the door, her belongings under the stairs, her clothes hanging in her wardrobe. My police contacts are very clearly telling me that those responsible for Claudia's disappearance and murder have been in this house, Mark says. So, he always makes out he's got more information than he probably has. But is there DNA then? But surely if there's DNA, that would be easy then to prosecute, or easier to prosecute with DNA if they've got DNA from the house. Coats hung up by Claudia and never touched again. That's quite eerie, isn't it? The clothes in Claudia's wardrobe. Mark said on This Morning he has spoken to many people connected with the police, and from that he said, I believe this case is solvable. I agree with him. I believe this case is solvable. I think it is solved, but I just think there's some little bit of evidence missing. Now, he said, I think there are two individuals involved in her disappearance. And I think over time, when they either get into a position when they fall out with loved ones or they talk loosely, we will get into a position where we'll be able to solve this. And in his film for This Morning, so this was broadcast back when Peter was still alive, the father, he talked to Claudia's parents, Joan and Peter, and her close friend and former housemate, Jennifer King. This is what they told him. Her friend telephoned me on the Friday morning to say she was very worried she hadn't heard from Claudia, and that made me so worried I jumped in the car and came across. I had that sense something was wrong. So that was her father. Then her mother says, I light a candle every night for Claudia because it's a form of prayer. I think lighting a candle is a very significant thing. No matter how busy I am, no matter what I do, it never goes away. Must be her friend. When she first went missing, I did think she was alive and she'd come back in a few days' time. And then I thought she was dead. And then recently I've got to thinking she might be alive again. Well, I hope so, but that's Jennifer King talking, the friend. You're just in a constant cycle of grief. Let's hope so. Let's hope so. Oh, so apparently he joined a choir. I can't put that on because I'll get done for copyright. Anyway, so it's all in the news at the moment again because of this 15-year anniversary. Claudia would be 50 years old now, bless her. And there she is in front of her house. So she didn't get the proper time to enjoy her house properly. She hadn't been living there that long. She never got a chance to get married, have children, if that's what she wanted. A lot of things denied to Claudia. And yeah, maybe she did, have a complicated private life. But you know what? If you murdered everyone who had a complicated private life, bloody hell, there'd be nobody left, would there? I think it's just because she's a woman that it was frowned upon a bit more than it would be if it was a man. Anyway, somebody out there knows what happened to Claudia. Somebody out there knows what happened to Claudia. And I hope that one day one of those people, if not the actual person that did it to Claudia, but or somebody who knows about it. People are loose, after all this time, whoever did it, they'll have talked to someone. Someone will know if it's not the person who actually, made Claudia go missing. Somebody else will definitely know what has happened to Claudia. Now, there's so much more to this case, because obviously 15-year investigation, I've just tried to cover it as best I can. That's another reason why I've never really gone into this case before. The only reason I'm going into it now is because it's 15 years anniversary and I think it deserves the attention. But also I've sort of avoided it because it's so confusing. It is a confusing case. So many different aspects to it. It's hard to know where to start and where to finish. But anyway, the thing is, let's just hope that as a result of the, each time, I mean, there are new cases, aren't there, all the time? So a cold case like this, if you like, I mean, although, her family and her friends deserve the closure, it's difficult because as far as the police are concerned, there's new cases coming up and new, things that maybe they actually might be able to solve. But every now and again, to come up and put a spotlight on it, I think is a good thing because we do not know. Nobody knows what happened to Claudia except those twonks that did it, who I believe, and I have believed for quite a long time, the police do know what happened to Claudia, but they just, when they took it to the Crown Prosecution Service, the Crown Prosecution Service decided there was just not enough evidence, so it just needs a little bit more, and maybe that'll happen now with maybe new forensics or people now feeling more comfortable to talk, or are we going to have to wait till the perpetrator dies and then somebody else might, who knows, might say. I hope it's in a mother's lifetime. Unfortunately, it didn't happen in her father's lifetime, but hopefully her mother and her sister and the rest of her family and friends will get that closure sooner or later. So thank you for watching. As always, remember to live and love. Okay, that video is finishing now, but I'm still here. I'm not going just yet. So yeah, as we've just been saying there in the chat, possibly, because of advances in DNA, something might give, something might suddenly, maybe they've already linked. I honestly do think they've got most things lined up, but they're needing her body. They're needing her body to put that final link in there, or somebody to sort of give up some evidence or to give up some information. I thought the policemen, other policemen that have talked about this case, have sort of insinuated that people have told them lies. Not only that people haven't given them the right information or the complete information, that people have actually lied. So a couple of people were charged with perverting the course of justice, but they were released as well without charge in the end. So they've not been able to prove anything, or not to the satisfaction of the Crown Prosecution Service. So the police have wanted to bring a case, or several cases, but the Crown Prosecution Service has rejected any attempt that the police have made to try and actually go for a conviction. So, Yeah, Tracy, that's the big dog, isn't it? She's just having a little kip. Well, she's not kipping, really. She's sat next to her, just hope she doesn't start barking. Now, somebody was talking there about the last CCTV of Claudia herself, which I think was the night before, wasn't it? There's no CCTV of Claudia on the morning that she disappeared, as far as I know, but I think there is a CCTV of, let's have a look at this. There is CCTV of Claudia. Sorry, I hope I don't get done for copyright. You never know on YouTube who's going to do you or not. So this is YouTube channel, all CCTV footage in chronological order. So this is her at the university. Oh, so here she is. So this is the canteen where she worked. So leaving. It's quite eerie, isn't it? Coming out. I need to give this guy some. So this is Aaron Stoner. Just need to give him some credit. I need to put him because he's put this together, even though the actual video is not his, it's CCTV, but he's put it together, I suppose. So all this is CCTV from the night before or the day before, I suppose. Now, as I say, there was nothing of the morning when she went, it doesn't seem that she got anywhere near work. Now, her car, it may be that she got a lift that morning, you see, from there's the person that she worked with at the canteen, who quite often gave her a lift when she didn't have her car, and she didn't have her car that day. So it seems quite likely that she may have got a lift from that person, and they may be one of the people that were looked at. Maybe they were one of the people that were arrested. I don't know, because the police haven't released any names. I just find this really eerie and sad, of her walking home and not knowing, that was her last day on earth. Or probably, because we don't know exactly what happened, but it does feel like it wasn't, it's quite eerie. And it's the CCTV. Do you see what I'm saying of this guy? He doesn't look like a young man to me. He doesn't walk like a young man. I know that might sound silly, but I really do believe that. Yeah, that's when they stop and let the other person go past. Now, when they went that way, they didn't have this bag on their shoulder. Is that her bag with her chef's whites in and things? Oh, it's just such an annoying mystery, isn't it? Oh, and this is this is the white van that was seen. Was that van used to take Claudia away? That's the tatty white van. Then they come back, do they, again? Oh, very confusing. Back and forward, back and forward. Oh, I don't know I've seen it. Oh, this is the other guy, I think. Who are these people? Who is that? So none of these people have come forward, which is suspicious in itself, of course. Okay, I think that's it. So, will we ever know? I don't know if we'll ever know in our lifetime. Hi, Caroline. Oh, you were in York then. Gosh, it's interesting. Yeah, it does feel spooky, oh hippie, very eerie. It's a shame. But anyway, let's hope that in her mum's lifetime, something is found out and somebody is finally held to account for Claudia's disappearance. Hi, Yvonne. Oh, so I'm sorry, Yvonne and Caroline, so I'm just finishing now. But I've got to go now. It's finished. But anyway, you can catch up anyway. But yeah, that's it. That's all we know. That's the story so far of Claudia Lawrence. And will this ever be resolved? I don't know. But anyway, so remember to live and love wisely, carefully. I'll see you really soon in the next video. If there's any news of any of these cases that we're following, you know, obviously Sebastian, Claudia, someone wants Samantha's body to be found, little Cielo in the river in Leicester, Anna Knezovic in Madrid. So many mysteries that we're following and that we're hoping for some resolution sooner or later. Let's hope so. But anyway, thank you all for being here with me, and I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, may your God always go with you. Bye.